Hey everybody, what's going on? Hellmite here, bringing you another video from Grab the Lantern today. Today I wanted to talk about the most recent video Riot put out talking about their gameplay balance plans for the coming year, and more specifically, their plans to add additional champions into the bottom lane. Now, if you haven't watched the video, I will have it linked down in the description below, but the practical upshot of it is that Riot are looking to get more champions playable down in the bottom lane, which I think by in and of itself is an excellent goal. I think that with Marksmen branching out and being playable in more than just the bottom lane, you have Marksmen that can go top lane, jungle, mid lane, all over the place, even support in some situations. I think that that's great because now that they're not just confined to the bottom lane, you can have them in other positions. However, the biggest issue you had is that you still almost always needed to have one in the bottom lane just because no other champion made sense in the bottom lane and no other champion could really reliably win the bottom lane. Even Ziggs, who was a fad for a month or two, just didn't pan out because while yes, he could absolutely annihilate towers, he didn't have the same consistent DPS that Marksman did, nor did he really have that much DPS on objectives as well, and most of his damage was not consistent. Obviously, a marksman who just right-clicks you is guaranteed that damage, whereas Ziggs throwing a bomb at you is not guaranteed that damage because it can miss, it can be body blocked, etc., etc. And this has happened throughout League of Legends history, where you've had certain lanes crop up, such as the double bruiser kill lane, or playing the two marksman lane with the MF support. Either way, these other lanes have cropped up, and we still haven't been able to gravitate away from the mage and the AD carry and the support in the bottom lane. And so even though you can play marksman in other roles, really the practical upshot of it was that you almost always would end up with two marksmen if you had one in the jungle and one at the bottom lane, for example, or one in the jungle, one at mid, and one in the bottom lane. But you always had the one in the bottom lane guaranteed. There was no getting around it. And so Riot's plans to get more champions viable in the bottom lane I think will be difficult, but I think is also just a good idea. I think we do want more champions playable down here. Now, the biggest problem for me with this is that Riot also said in the same video that they want compositions to be viable if they have no marksmen at all. And that gives me a bit of a concern. And it's not because I think marksmen have to be played in every game, but because fundamentally, marksmen are the answer to the biggest question that League of Legends asks. League of Legends is a game about taking objectives. First and foremost, that is what League of Legends is about. You have to kill towers in order to win the game. You have to kill inhibitors in order to win the game. You don't have to kill dragons or Baron, but they help you significantly with winning the game. And all of these are static objectives that are best taken by a champion that can do reliable damage per second from a safe distance. Now, you don't need a marksman for team fights. I think there are plenty of team fight compositions you can make without one. But the problem remains is that when it comes to trying to take towers, especially in the early game when a lot of this game is decided, you absolutely must have a marksman in order to do that effectively and safely. So even if you made double bruiser in the bottom lane a thing, you still give up on that power. And so the issue I have with Riot saying we don't want you to play a marksman at all is that it raises the question of then why would you play a marksman if you don't need one? If they gave bruisers comparable damage per second to towers to a marksman, then what is the point of playing a marksman at all? Why wouldn't I just play a double bruiser bottom lane, which would be, in Riot's ideal world, just as viable as a marksman lane, and have the same objective damage and have potentially better team fighting? Well, why would I ever play a marksman? Now, so I think, in my opinion, that that is a problem, and that's not something that Riot should be striving for because it breaks fundamentally part of the game, and it completely excludes a class of champions in their entirety from being something that you can play. I think that if Riot were able to get it into a spot where you can play other champions at the bottom lane and not feel quite as troll about it, that's the ideal situation to be in, because then, yeah, alright, we can field our bruiser in the bottom lane, we can field our mage in the bottom lane, and we can have our marksman fill in elsewhere. And that was kind of the fun of the Ziggs bot lane, is you could say, alright, we're going to have a Ziggs in the bottom lane, where else do we want to play our marksman? And maybe someone would play Quinn top, maybe someone would play Kindred or Graves in the jungle. The point being is that you had options of where to put the marksman, and that was cool. The issue was what I don't want to see is for bruisers to be the only thing playing the bottom lane, or mages to be the only thing playing the bottom lane, and marksmen just disappear from the game entirely, because why play this early game, this weak early game champion and not get enough of a benefit for it? So And obviously, we have no details yet on what Riot are actually thinking about doing. We just know that they are planning and that that's a goal that they're striving for. And I just wanted to make this video to kind of put my 2 cents in, is don't make it so that you can play without one. I think that in a game about objectives, if marksmen are not being played, that's a fundamental problem with the way the game is designed and with the way the game is played. I think that you pretty much will always need one. In the same way that you pretty much always want a tank and a support and a mage of some sort, just because it makes your team comp more well-rounded. It covers your bases. So I basically want to make sure that a world we get into is not one where a complete class of champions is essentially prevented from playing the game at all. But anyways, those are just my thoughts on the subject. Go ahead and let me know what you guys are thinking down in the comment section below. I know people have been striving for a long time to not have marksman mandatory, but I think that if you had marksmen in other lanes and not guaranteed in the bottom lane, that would go a long way towards resolving those particular issues. So, but anyways, go ahead and let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like. And if you really enjoyed the video, consider subscribing. I upload a video every Monday, Friday, and on patch days as well. And if you're looking for more Grab the Lantern content, you can check out my blog, link down in the description below. I upload an article just about each and every single day for your enjoyment. Once again, thank you guys so very much for watching. I do appreciate it. And I will talk to you all later.